Paul came to me and said, yo, Gene, what's wrong? I said, that nigga dead, Paul. He said, no, dog, he just was hit. It's trauma. I said, nigga, he pissed and shit on himself. He dead.
The world is watching as the bad boy empire falls apart. Everyone's talking about the Netflix documentary produced by 50 Cent, but one man claims it left out the darkest secrets. His name is Gene Deal, the man who stayed in the shadows protecting Diddy when the cameras weren't rolling. Now, he's revealing everything. Bird sacrifices, secret shootouts, and the real reasons some people went to jail while others walked free. You think you know the story, but you really don't. Then there's the secret battle with Misa Hilton. The drama escalated right after the Netflix documentary dropped. While viewers were glued to their screens, a real war was unfolding on social media. Misa Hilton, mother of Diddy's first son, Justin Combs, has usually stayed quiet, avoiding the chaos, but this time, she couldn't stay silent. She posted a heartfelt message online, exposing the pain she and her son have endured. Misa explained that she's usually private and hates airing her personal life, but the harassment had become unbearable. She called the situation heartbreaking and insisted the public was being misled about her and Justin. She described the drama as a cruel game, fueled by rumors and hidden agendas. But what really caught attention was who Misa blamed. It wasn't just the Netflix documentary. She pointed directly at Gene Deal. According to her, the things Gene has implied in his interviews only made the harassment worse. She felt he was throwing gasoline on the fire. Her post was captured by the Shade Room before it disappeared, but by then, the damage was done. So what was the rumor that triggered her outrage? For years, whispers have circulated about Justin Combs' parentage. Some claim Diddy might not be his biological father, suggesting instead that his real father could be Anthony Wolf Jones, Diddy's longtime head of security and trusted friend. Wolf was respected and feared, a tough figure in the streets. When Misa spoke out, she was essentially accusing Gene Deal of keeping these rumors alive, letting people believe that Wolf Jones, not Diddy, was Justin's father. This is an incredibly personal and painful allegation, striking at the core of their family identity. Gene Deal saw Misa's post and he responded. In an interview with The Art of Dialogue, he defended himself. He said he was shocked when someone sent him her post and couldn't believe what he was reading. Looking straight into the camera, Gene addressed Misa directly, asking how he had harassed her. He denied ever doing so, insisting he had always been a protector of her and her family. He explained his side. Misa was upset because he hadn't shut down the rumors. She wanted him to publicly state that Wolf Jones is not Justin's father, but Gene insisted that wasn't his role. He maintained he never attacked her or her family, saying he was simply telling his truth, and if rumors exist, that's not his fault. This back and forth shows just how fractured the bad boy family has become. These were people who once moved as one, completely locked in. Now they're trading shots on Instagram and addressing each other through interviews. The documentary may have lit the match, but the fuel has been there for years. Gene Deal is refusing to play the villain in this story. He's telling Misa that he's not her enemy, but at the same time, he's done lying to protect secrets. To understand why things are this tense, you have to rewind to one of the most infamous nights in hip-hop history, the Club New York shooting. It was December 27, 1999, at Club New York in Manhattan. Diddy was at the peak of his power. He was dating Jennifer Lopez, the biggest star in the world at the time. When they walked into the club, they looked untouchable, diamonds, fur coats, and a massive entourage. With them was a young rapper named Sheehan, the newest artist on Bad Boy. His deep voice reminded people of Biggie Smalls. He was hungry, loyal, and eager to prove himself. He had no idea that this night would change his life forever. The club was packed, and the energy was high until it wasn't. An argument broke out between Diddy's crew and another group. Some say someone threw money in Diddy's face, which is a serious sign of disrespect in that world. Words turned into shoves, and then guns came out. Shots echoed through the club. People screamed, ducked, and ran for cover as chaos erupted. When it was over, 3 people had been shot. Diddy, Jennifer Lopez, and their team rushed out, jumped into a Lincoln Navigator, and sped off. Police chased them through the streets of New York before finally stopping the vehicle. A gun was found inside. Diddy was arrested. Shine was arrested. Jennifer Lopez was also arrested but later released. That night led to a trial that captured national attention. Diddy was facing serious charges, and if convicted, he could have lost everything. His entire empire was on the line. He assembled a powerhouse legal team, including Johnny Cochran, the same attorney who defended O.J. Simpson. But according to Gene Deal, it wasn't just lawyers that helped Diddy beat the case. He claims something far darker took place, something that happened quietly in Central Park. This is the part of the story that 50 Cent's documentary didn't touch. It sounds unbelievable, but Gene Deal insists it's real. On the day the verdict was set to be announced, Diddy was terrified. His future rested in the jury's hands. Gene Deal says Diddy went to Central Park on a cold day and met with a mysterious man. He doesn't name him, but describes him as a spiritual guide or mystic. The man carried a Bible and instructed Diddy to kneel. Picture that, the man who commands respect everywhere, on his knees in the dirt of Central Park. Gene Deal says he watched as smoke surrounded them, possibly sage. Sage is meant to cleanse energy, but Gene says this felt different. The man prayed, chanted, and placed his hands on Diddy's shoulders as the tension hung heavy in the air. Then the man brought out a cage. Inside was a white bird, a dove, or white pigeon, symbolizing peace and purity. But what happened next was anything but peaceful. The man told Diddy to remove the bird and throw it into the air. Normally, a bird would fly away, but Gene Deal says that's not what happened. Diddy tossed the bird upward, and instead of flying, it dropped straight to the ground. It hit with a thud. The bird was dead. Gene Deal says. A chill ran through his body. To him, a dead bird is a terrible Sanan omen of death and sacrifice. He believes the bird took Diddy's place, that its life was exchanged for Diddy's freedom. In his mind, it was a ritual meant to transfer judgment from the man to the animal. Diddy stood up, brushed the dirt off his knees, and left the dead bird behind in the park. He then headed to the courthouse to hear the verdict. And the outcome, the jury cleared Sean Combs of all charges. He was found not guilty. A free man. He walked out of that courtroom and went on to make millions more. But not everyone escaped unscathed. The sacrifice didn't save everyone. In that same courtroom, Shin, the young rapper, just trying to make it big, was found guilty. The boy who had looked up to Diddy like a father was sentenced to 10 years in prison. According to Gene Deal, this wasn't a coincidence. He believes the ritual worked, it protected the boss, while sacrificing the soldier, Shine, and the $20,000. Betrayal is another heartbreaking chapter. He was barely 20, a kid in every sense, and thought the bad boy family would have his back. But Gene Deal claims that Diddy and his team threw Shine under the bus to save themselves. Gene Deal recalls a meeting before the trial ended. Shine was approached with an offer, $20,000, 20 racks and street slung to ensure everyone would be cleared. They promised they had a witness or a connection to fix the case. But Shine didn't pay. Maybe he couldn't, or maybe he didn't trust them. Things quickly spiraled. Witnesses who had seen the club incident were taken to Diddy's security team before the police or district attorney. They were coached on what to say. Gene Deal alleges these witnesses were instructed to blame Sheen, portraying him as the shooter, while Diddy was the innocent victim. In court, Shine watched as people lied about him, and his mentor let it happen. He was convicted of assault and gun possession and sent to a maximum security prison. He spent nearly 9 years locked up. Meanwhile, Diddy was living at yachts in St. Tropez parties and success. When Shine was finally released, he was deported to Belize since he wasn't a US citizen. His rap career was effectively over. For years, Shion held on to his bitterness. He accused Diddy of being a snitch, of sending him to prison, of betraying him when he should have been like a brother. Meanwhile, Diddy moved on, rarely mentioning Sheen, as if he had been erased from bad boy history entirely. Years later, Shine said he forgave Diddy. He moved on, became a politician in Belize, and sought peace of mind. But Gene Deal insists we should never forget what happened. He wants the world to understand that Diddy's freedom came at a cost. Shine's life. The bird sacrifice in the park and the courtroom betrayal are two sides of the same coin. Now, let's talk about Anthony Wolf Jones. The man Misa Hilton argued about. Wolf was Diddy's right-hand man for security, big, strong, loyal, and present during the Club New York shooting. He was arrested and tried alongside Diddy, but like Diddy, he was acquitted and walked free. However, his story doesn't have a happy ending. According to Gene Deal, Diddy began to distance himself from Wolf after the trial. Maybe Wolf knew too much, or maybe he was seen as a liability. They had a falling out. Wolf was no longer head of security and was left on his own. In November 2003, Wolf was in Atlanta, which was becoming a new hub for hip-hop, but the streets were ruled by a new group, the Black Mafia family BM, led by brothers Big Meech and Southwest T. They had wealth, power, and were dangerous. Wolf got into a conflict with Big Meech at a club in Buckhead. It was about respect. Wolf was old-school New York tough. Big Meech was the new king of the South. Words were exchanged, tempers flared, and it escalated into a shootout in the parking lot. When the smoke cleared, Wolf Jones was dead, shot in the chest. Another man, Lamont R.Z. Gertie, was also killed. Big Meech was shot but survived and was later charged with murder. Claiming self-defense. Gene Deal recounts this with sadness. He believes Wolf was a casualty of the lifestyle, and that if Diddy hadn't cut him off, maybe he wouldn't have been in that parking lot. He feels Diddy uses people for protection and discards them when they're no longer needed. Wolf Jones died far from home, caught in a war over nothing, and now his name is still dragged into rumors about Justin Combs' parentage. The biggest shadow over Diddy's life, however, is the murder of the notorious B.I.G. Biggie Smalls, was Diddy's best friend and his biggest artist. He died in Los Angeles on March 9, 1997. Gene Deal was there that night as part of the security team, and he says Biggie didn't have to die. Gene recalls that night at a party in the Peterson Automotive Museum. He had a bad feeling all evening and warned Diddy and the other security guards, "One of you is going to die tonight." He had seen a man, lurking, a Muslim man, in a suit with a bow tie, watching them intensely. Gene felt pure danger and suspected this man was scouting for a hit. When the party ended, the crowd spilled onto the street. Security was sloppy. Diddy left in his car first. Biggie followed in a GMC Suburban. Gene Deal stood near Biggie's vehicle as a dark Chevrolet Impala pulled up. The driver calmly drew a blue steel gun and fired 4 precise shots. This wasn't a random drive-by, it was an execution. Gene rushed to the car and tried to save Biggie, but he watched his friend's life fade away. Gene Deal harbors anger about that night. He blames Maze, who was also on Bad Boy, saying Maze ran and hid with a woman named Brandy during the shooting instead of helping. He calls Maze a coward for leaving his friend to die. Gene also questions Diddy. Why was his car so far ahead? Why were they even in Los Angeles? Knowing the East Coast-West Coast tensions were high after Tupac's death, Gene suggests Diddy may have known something was going to happen. Biggie was planning to leave Bad Boy and start his own label, aiming to control his music. To some, he was more valuable dead than alive. Gene Deal believes the police know who killed Biggie, and he believes Diddy knows too. He says the truth has been hidden for nearly 30 years. Now, he's speaking out because he wants justice for Biggie, and he wants the world to know that the security team was warned and did nothing. Then there are the freak-offs, the wild parties. Diddy was infamous for. Federal agents recently raided his homes and found thousands of bottles of baby oil. They say Diddy hosted parties that lasted for days, called freak. Gene Deal saw these firsthand. He even has a story about Ja Rule that shows how chaotic things could get. It was the early 2000s, Diddy and Ja Rule were in a room together, and Gene Deal was standing guard outside with strict orders. No one in. Suddenly, a frantic man claiming to be Ja Rule's cousin tried to get inside. Gene refused and told him Ja Rule was busy. The man tried to push past, so Gene threw him against a piano, making a huge crash. The door opened, and Diddy and Ja Rule emerged naked except for towels around their waists. Imagine that scene, two of the biggest names in hip-hop, sweating and clutching towels, while the cousin looked on in shock. Ja Rule warned him, "You do not want to go in there. There's a lot of freaky stuff going on." Gene Deal doesn't explain the details, leaving it to your imagination, but it paints a clear picture. These weren't normal parties. Powerful men were doing things they didn't want the world to see. Baby oil freak-offs touts it was all part of a lifestyle completely out of control. Gene says the Fed's recent discoveries just confirm what he saw 20 years ago. Then there's the stolen footage controversy. Diddy is furious over the Netflix documentary, claiming 50 Cent and Netflix stole private footage from his hotel room in September 2024 at the Park Hyatt in New York. He was stressed, pacing, and speaking to his lawyers about handling dirty business. His team says this footage was meant for his own documentary, and someone sold it without permission. Netflix and 50 Cent insist they acquired the footage legally. Gene Deal finds this ironic. Diddy is mad about stolen footage, yet he has been accused of taking from others throughout his career. Artist publishing samples, credit. The footage, Gene says, shows the real Diddy, the manipulator, the man who believes he can buy his way out of anything. Finally, Gene Deal sums it up. The music industry created a monster. Diddy wasn't born a villain. He was shaped by the world around him. He learned that money equals power and that you can treat people however you want as long as you have hits. He repeated the cycle of abuse, but Gene points to the victims. Cassie, beaten in a hotel hallway. Kim Porter, who suffered in silence. Shine Wolf, and Biggie. Gene believes karma is real. He says Diddy is finally paying for the pain he caused. One of hip-hop's greatest tragedies is unfolding. A man who built an empire may now spend the rest of his life in a cage. Like the bird in Central Park, he is being sacrificed, but this time, for his own sins. Gene Deal is the last man standing. He survived the shootings, the beefs, and the bad boy curse. Now, he's telling the story that 50 Cent couldn't or wouldn't. He's exposing the deep, dark truth about Diddy. The courts will decide Diddy's punishment, but the streets and the fans already know the truth thanks to Gene Deal. The bad boy era is over, ending not with a hit song but with a jail cell and countless broken lives. That is Gene Deal telling the full truth. Only he knows, but his stories align with the whispers that have circulated for years. He was there, he saw it all, and now, he's making sure the world sees it too. What do you think about the bird sacrifice? Do you believe Diddy set Shine Up? Let us know in the comments. And remember, nothing in this industry is ever what it seems. Stay safe out there.